All right, today we're going to talk about density. Okay, now the biggest thing about density is you have to follow your significant figure rules. Density is not hard to itself, but you have to follow your significant figure rules for it. Density is defined as the ratio of mass to volume. Density is why things float or sink in water. It's a physical and intensive property. Okay, it's a physical intensive property. It means it does not depend on the amount of matter present, and changing it does not change the identity of the substance. Common units, grams per milliliter, grams per centimeter cube, or grams per liter. A centimeter cubed and a milliliter are the same thing, okay? But it's always a mass divided by a volume unit. A mass divided by a volume unit. Formula, density is mass divided by volume. Density is mass divided by volume. I'll draw a triangle here in a second. The density of an object determines whether it will float or not. Density of water is approximately 1. If its density is greater than 1, it will sink. If the density is less than 1, it will float. This is how you made like the Titanic. They had the 13 or 16 compartments that they said if like 5 of them flooded, they could still float, okay? Because the mass was less than the volume. That's the big thing. If you want it to float, the mass has to be less than the volume. All right, so now let's work some examples. I'm going to record it and post it. I mean, you can if you want. But. Yes, sir. So they just heard you. Yes. All right, first example. But first off, before I get started my example, I like to draw a triangle for this, okay? So I can draw a triangle. That's about as good a triangle as I can draw right now. M on the top, D, and V on the bottom. So if you're looking for mass, you cover up mass. Mass would equal density times volume, okay? If you're looking for volume, you cover up V, it's M over D. If you're looking for density, it's mass divided by volume. So our first question here. Calculate the density of a material that has a mass of 52.457 grams and a volume of 13.5 centimeters cubed. So what am I looking for? Mass, density, or volume? Density. So density equals mass over volume. What was the mass? 457 over the volume being what? How many significant figures do I need? No, 3. Because remember, division is all the significant figures. So what's the answer? What's the calculator answer? 885 exactly, or 885 something after that? So it's 3.885 something, so that needs to round up. So 3.8989. And my units are what? What are my units of the mass in this problem? Grams. And my unit of the volume was what? Meters cubed. All right, so that's one example. Let's do this one. Today is pretty easy. Where the biggest thing is with your just significant figures. Okay, that's really why this is in there. And we're going to do a lab next week. B-Day kids will probably do it Tuesday. Okay. Oops. We'll save that. I'll pass your lab back to you, Bryant. And you'll have a pre-lab to do Monday. This, okay. You know, the last density lab we did was just kind of like a lab, just get the feel of it. With this one, you're going to have to follow your significant figure rules, and it's more of a challenge lab than anything else. All right, so here's the next question. The density of silver is 10.49 grams per centimeter cubed. The mass, if the sample of pure silver has a volume of 12.993 centimeters cubed, what is the mass? So what's my equation for mass? Did you write the triangle down? The triangle, I think, is probably one of the easiest things to use with this. Okay, if you can remember the triangle, density on the bottom, volume on the bottom, mass on the top. So I'm looking for what? I'm looking for mass. So what would mass be equal to? Density times volume. And so, oh, I made that wrong. Density mass equals, man, bad writing. Mass equals density times volume. All right, so what's the density? 10.49 times, what's the volume? 12.9, 2 nines. 9. And what's by, now how many figures do I need in my answer? 4. 4. So what's my answer? So what's my answer? I need 4 significant figures. 136.3. 29, isn't it? So it would round up to 3. And my units there would be what? Well, that's a volume. So centimeters cubed times divided by centimeters cubed canceled out, so it would be grams. Let's do one more. Our last example is kind of the same thing. Still the same thing, but why is it not pasting? Let me see why that didn't paste. There we go. Last example. A rectangular block of copper weighs 1,896 grams. The dimensions of the block are 8.4 centimeters times 5.5 centimeters times by 4.6 centimeters. What's the density of the block? So I'm looking for mass, density, or volume. Density. So density is mass divided by volume. Okay. What's the mass? Units. Mass is, yeah, grams is always going to be a mass. 1,896. What's the volume? How'd you do that? Volume is length times width times height. Okay, so he did correct. 8.4 times 5.5 times 4.6, and you get what? I need how many significant figures though? 2. So what's the answer? 210? Well, no, 212 has 3 significant figures. So 210. So now what's the answer equal? Now don't use 212 because you got to round that to significant figures. 210, you got the volume. The volume equaled. I need that to the correct number of significant figures. I need, how many significant figures do I need? 2. So what's the 9 point what? So that'd just be 9.0 then, wouldn't it? And it's grams and per centimeter cubed. Any questions? Okay. Your homework today, okay, is already posted. I need you to show your work, okay? So you can either type it out in a doc, or you can, if you want to do it on a piece of paper and then take a picture of it and upload it, I need the work turned in with it also, okay? Yeah.